Happy day, I am Dr. B Karthigapooja, Assistant Professor, PG Department of Communication. So today in this module, we are going to discuss on a topic, sampling methods in research. So sampling method is one of the very important concept in research. So today we will see what is population, what is sample, and what are the different types in sampling methods, which is probability and non-probability sampling. So first, what is population? A population is the entire group that you want to draw conclusions about. So for example, if I am going to study the whole Chennai population, I cannot study the whole population, which is more than lakhs and lakhs of people in Chennai. So what I have to do is, I have to select a subset from the population, which is a sample. So that sample should be the representative of the overall population. So a population can be anything. It can be the whole Chennai area or any particular institution. It can be a private or public or school or even hospital or even an organisms. So the population should be clearly defined. So you have to define your population based on the characteristics, based on the income status or community or caste or anything. So what is sample? A sample is the specific group that you collect the data from. So for example, if I am going to give blood test for any test to a lab technician, so what he will do is, he will not collect or test my whole blood, 6 liters of blood, but what he will do is, he will just get a sample of 50 ml from my whole 6 liters of blood. So that 50 ml blood is the representing of the overall population. The size of the sample is always less than the overall population, but the subset of the sample should represent the entire population. So a sample is a smaller set of data that a researcher chooses or selects from a larger population and using a predefined selection method, which is you have to follow some method to get your correct sample size and the numbers. So sample can be also be called as sampling points, sampling units and the observations. So we have two different types of sampling method. One is probability and the other one is non-probability. What is probability? Probability is the chance of getting selected in the research. So each and every sample will get an equal opportunity to be selected or to be studied in the research. So to randomly select a small group of people from an existing large population and then predict that all their responses will have matched the overall population. So what is non-probability? Not every sample will get an equal chance in the non-probability sampling, because based on my convenience, based on the purpose of the research, I will select the sample. So this is non-probability sampling. So now let's see the major differences between probability and non-probability. So the first one is the samples are randomly selected. So you select the sample based on some method, some randomness should be there, which is every sample will get an equal opportunity of being studied in the research. So samples are selected on the basis of researcher's subjective. So non-probability method is based on the subjective or researcher judgment. Like I'll choose only these type of people or these community or these generations. So everyone in the population has an equal chance. So probability equal chance, non-probability not equal chance. And the third point is researchers use this technique when they want to keep a tab on the sampling bias. Like if you don't want to be biased about your sample, then you have to choose a probability sampling, and if you can have some bias in your sample. And the fourth point is when the population have some diverse characteristics, then you have to use your random sampling method, which is the population will have different characteristics like different age groups or income or occupation or anything. So at that time you have to use random sampling and useful in an environment. So when you use, so you can use non-probability when the sample size will have the same characteristics. So used when researcher want to create, so if you want to get an accurate sample size or the numbers, then you have to use the probability sampling method. But in case of non-probability, this method does not help in representing the population accurately because you don't know the exact population size and you don't want to get the exact sample based on the population. So, you are using the non-probability sampling method. And the last one is finding the correct audience is complex, because here finding the correct audience is complex because the population is very large and you have to work hard to get the correct sample size based on the population. But in case of non-probability, finding the audience is very simple. So now let's move on to the different types in probability and non-probability. So in probability, as we see, we have 4 different type of methods. The first one is simple random, clustered, stratified and systematic. And in non-probability sampling, you have 5 different types of method. The first one is convenience, consecutive, quota sampling, purposive and snowball sampling. Simple random is every item in the population has an equal chance. So, every item in the population will have an equal chance of getting selected in the research. So, this method is also called as method of chance selection. So, as I given in the example, make a list. So, first you have to make a list of people. For example, if I am going to study some purchase behavior for my MA communication class. So, MA communication consists of 40 students. So, I can give sequential number to all the 40 students so that all the students will get equal chance of getting selected, and then I can pick a number based on some lot. So, the next one is cluster sampling. Cluster is a group. So, the cluster or group of people are formed from the population set. The group has similar significantary characteristics. So, if the population has a similar characteristics, then you have to get the sample as a group from the population. So, for example, if I am going to study any particular institution's facilities. So, we can see the same institution in many areas as in like Chennai, Madurai, Tirunelveli and Coimbatore. But the researcher cannot visit all the 4 cities. So, at that time you can just pick one college from these 4 groups, and this college is the representative of all the other colleges. So, this is cluster sampling. Hence, we can use the random sampling to select 3 or 4 branches as the clusters. So, next one is systematic sampling. Systematic sampling is about sampling, identify the sample at regular predefined intervals. For example, do my research in Anna Nagar area. So, Anna Nagar has some 20 wards, okay. So, I cannot go and collect sample from all the 20 wards. So, what I can do is, I can do systematic sampling to select the sample using the predefined intervals. For example, every 5th element, every 9th element, every 12th element. So, there should be some gap between the elements. So, 9 people in the population. So, I have selected based on the predefined intervals, which is 3, 6 and 9. So, the interval gap here is 3. And the last one is in probability sampling method, which is stratified sampling method. So, stratified, strata. So, in a stratified sample, researchers divide a population in a homogeneous subpopulation based on specific characteristics. So, the characteristics can be anything, it can be a race or gender or any particular community. So, researchers rely on stratified sampling when a population characteristics are diverse. So, when you have a diverse population, you can use stratified sampling method to collect the correct sample. So, this is the example. So, the population, as you see, the population divides into many characteristics. So, from that I have categorized into a strata, some group of people, and then using random selection, which is a lot method, I have selected some sample. So, finally you get some proportionate sample. So, next one is non-probability. So, non-probability, the sample will not get an equal chance. The first one in non-probability is convenience sampling. So, based on my convenience, I can pick the sample. For example, I have so many friends in WhatsApp and Facebook. So, I can just send my questionnaire to my friends and relatives and I can finish my study. So, this is my convenience. So, this is non-probability sampling method. So the samples are selected from the population directly because they are conveniently available. So the researcher includes only those individuals who are most accessible. So next one is consecutive. Consecutive sampling is similar to convenient sampling with a slight variation, that is, the researcher picks a single person or a group of people for sampling, then the researcher researches for a period of time. So you will do research for a period of time, and if you don't get the exact answer or any answer, then you will move on to the some other place. So consecutive is a continuous process you will do in research and which comes under the non-probability sampling method. So the third one is quota sampling. So quota sampling refers to the process of gathering samples from a group. In a quota sampling, you select a predetermined number. So before you get into a research, you will have some predetermined sample, which is my research is going to be just people who are above 40 or 40 to 50. So you will select the sample based on the age. So the quota sampling method is a non-probability sampling approach that may be used to create a sample for researchers on the general characteristics of a community. So if you see, there are a group of people in various categories, various age, but you just select male respondents who are above 50. So finally you get some 4 samples from that overall population, and these 4 samples is a representative of the overall population. And next one is purposive sampling. Purposive is you are purposefully selecting the sample. For example, if I have to conduct some research on academics or how the syllabus of MA communication, then I will purposefully select my MA Com student, the students who has CGPA above 8.5, because I have my own judgment, like only the students who have like more CGPA will have the correct explanation or correct opinion about the syllabus. So I purposefully select those students. So the entire sampling process depends on the researcher's judgment and knowledge of the context. Suppose you want to collect feedback from the students on the pedagogical methods in their school, you can go ahead, handpick the brightest students. You can just pick the brightest students and you can just give them the questionnaire and they can just fill. So I purposefully selected only 10 students from the overall 40 students. So this is purposive sampling. So now we are going to see the last method, which is the snowball method. So this is a sampling technique in which existing subjects provide referrals to recruit sample. So I have some sample in my class. So if my target audience is 18 to 23, so my students will circulate the questionnaire to her relatives or friends. So some referrals will be there. So you will get a sample in a wider way. Okay. So the snowball sampling method is extensively used where a population is unknown. So this is snowball method. Thank you.